Welcome to Bad Gear, the show about the world's most hated audio tools. To many people, Waldorf is the epitome of German synth engineering. A rich tradition of pushing forward innovation, a healthy mix of musicality and pre-internet tech nerdiness, and an aura of dudes in lab coats being both brilliant and a little too stubborn. Today we are going to talk about Kyra. Not only did Zach Ma more or less publicly challenge me to put this instrument on the show, this 2020 aircraft carrier of a synth appears to be the embodiment of a Waldorf product. Cutting-edge technology, high-end sound and more head-scratching potential than a non-German like me can handle. However, you might be surprised that Kyra isn't actually a real Waldorf synth. The mastermind behind all that doesn't seem to be very German, and its origin story sounds more like a Hollywood fairy tale. At the first glance, Kyra is ticking all the
holy sudden incapacitation.
That thing is massive boxes. A heavy metal box taking up plenty of studio desk real estate with gorgeous 100% wobble-free metal knobs, real simulated wood grain sides, and one of the best cut-off controllers I've ever had the pleasure to use. This first impression of luxury is somewhat tainted by a few minor details though. The 128 voices of polyphony, of the weapon-grade synth engines are generated using so-called FPGAs, a specialized chip technology I know close to nothing about, but is, according to ChatGPT, the bee's knees for many audio applications. This Star Trek-worthy contraption was originally conceived by media and entertainment technology veteran Manuel Caballero in his spare time under the Exodus Valkyrie moniker. Legend has it that he got himself a booth at Musikmesse 2018, presented a virus-knobbed prototype, which led to the collaboration with Waldorf, who hired Axel Hartmann to put the finishing touches on the design and turned it into the Kyra we know today. Its complex synth tones revolve around a monumental oscillator section consisting of two groups with a mixable set of basic waveforms and sub-oscillators. You can dial in FM, hard sync and ring modulation between these groups. The wave oscillators are both Kyra's biggest strength and weakness, while the 4096 open source waveforms add a multiverse of possibilities. I didn't find a way to use them as real wavetables. No morphing, no scanning, and it leads us to what might be the biggest deal breaker of them all. No data encoder for moving through this ocean of raw tones. Hypersaw is lush, and dual mode lets you create, detune and creatively route a doppelganger of your oscillator tone. Speaking of duos, the battery filter section offers a parallel mode, allowing for true stereo sounds. There are plenty of ladder filter style options, and it comes with a dedicated ADSR envelope, amp envelope, an auxiliary envelope and 3 LFOs. Nice. I've seen bigger modulation matrices though. It seems like I appreciate the versatile multi-FX section about as much as the preset designers. Epic pads, deep basses, and cinematic textures are just the tip of the iceberg, and there's a great arpeggiator too. Kyra is inherently multi-timbral. 8 parts can be played independently via MIDI or combined to layers and splits. Internal processing and DA converters are 96 kHz 32-bit. I've yet to find the slightest hint of aliasing. The unit can be used as an audio interface, and there's multi-channel streaming of parts to your DAW. So how did this lavish feature fest make it onto bad gear? First of all, the aforementioned lack of a data dial is a colossal PITA, especially given the nature of the synth and absence of real wavetable functionality. You have to dial in essential parameters by selecting them with cursor up-down and tweaking them with a plus-minus buttons. Adding insult to injury, these parameters tend to be hidden in a menu structure reminding me of the backrooms. Other aspects about the UI might be a matter of taste, like the shift-lock functionality or loose relationship between patches and multis. The 4-line stereo outputs are totally my thing. The power supply socket makes me wanna play DOS games. The full-sized MIDI trio is a piece of heaven, and thanks to the great people over at Klangfarbe for lending me their non-blue Kyra. Waldorf's Kyra is a modern and powerful high-end instrument in the tradition of big flagship VA synths. Did it just have a rough start, or is it too much of a niche product? You have already heard Kyra in today's intro tune. I found it challenging to use it for more conventional synth tones, but it turned out quite juicy. Time to bring it back to its comfort zone. That was easier than expected. While programming sounds from scratch can be tedious, the interface allows for quick editing of the great preset collection. The tones are distinctly elegant, maybe a bit too clean for some, but that's a matter of personal preference. In spite of Kyra's origin story, we are deep in Waldorf territory. Let's combine it with its humble step cousin and some analog drums. Multitimbrality and discrete outputs are great both live and in the studio. The synth is an interesting counterpart to the rough Yomox drums and edgier sound of the Blofeld. Kyra's tones sit in the mix nicely. I wanna know how they fare in a more complex arrangement in Yes, I Put Reverb on the sub-bass, posh and tidy mid-tempo trance. Kyra is a great sounding instrument with plenty of pro features. However, I wouldn't want to use it for every sound of a track, and I understand people who don't vibe with a clean and sometimes cold overall timbre. What is more, I asked myself who would actually buy this synth. It's definitely not a beginner's instrument, and more experienced synthesists might be put off by the odd limitations and opt for another top-shelf Waldorf or maybe even a Hydrosynth. Let us imagine that I, purely hypothetically of course, showed up at Musikmesse this year, rented a booth and presented my almost finished Box Ticker 2077 Groovebox. Which company would be interested? Thanks for watching and see you next time! Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like, subscribe, become a patron and leave a comment what other kind of gear you would like to see and hear on the show.